If you're looking to operate a more profitable rental real estate business in 2025, this is the episode for you. Exactly 1 year ago today, my assistant Angela and I instituted some processes to make our company more profitable. I'm going to share them with you today so you don't have to learn it the hard way like I did, but the results have been drastic. So let's go into what makes up a profitable business. In real estate, you pretty much always have to be profitable. We're not a non-profitable tech company or something that's going to grow into our valuation and has all the outside investors. There's rare cases you might buy a place that isn't profitable day one, but generally we need to be profitable. So what makes up profits for a business? It's very simple. There's revenue and there's expenses. Revenue minus expenses equals profits. And in the real estate space, revenue typically comes from rents. In fact, it almost all comes from rents. Sometimes you'll get some random stuff like laundry income or whatever, but it's pretty much always rents. And then our expenses, in most cases, come from repairs and maintenance and from utilities. So it's a pretty simple game. So once we were able to isolate, this is what makes up our revenues and expenses, we were able to institute some changes. So I'm going to focus on the revenue side to start us off. Revenue equals rents. So how do we make sure that we are getting as much rent as possible? Well, the quickest way to crush your rents is to have vacancies. Okay, a vacancy or multiple vacancies will wipe you out. Just use the example of a $2,000. Say you have a property that nets $300 a month at a $2,000 a month rent. You miss 1 month. That 1 month without that $2,000 coming in, that's basically you're losing out on 7 months of profits. Excuse me. So that's over half of your year's profits are wiped out if you have 1 month of expenses. $2,000 rents divided by 300 in profits. You can see how long it takes to make that up. So we cannot have vacancies. So we set a goal for Angela, a KPI, that's a key performance indicator, around having 0% vacancies. So how did we do that? It's great to have a goal, 0% vacancies, but without a process or a plan around it, it's kind of worthless. You have to have a plan. You have to have systems. So here's exactly what we did. Your best tenant in most cases is your current tenant. If somebody moves out, you're going to have a vacancy. Now that could be a few days or it could be multiple months depending on market conditions. So we want to retain our tenants. And on top of that, if we're not going to retain the tenant, we want to know that as early as possible. So here's the system we implemented. It's pretty simple. Angela contacts me 100 days prior to the end of a tenant's lease. It sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. 100 days out, she contacts me to ask if I want to do a rent increase. Sometimes I will. We do rent increases pretty often, but we're usually pretty modest with them. And that's a lesson again, guys. It's not, if you're going to give a massive rent increase that's going to cause a tenant to leave, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Again, go back to the math. You create a vacancy. It is going to take a lot of months of rent increases to make up for only 1 month of vacancy. So Angela asked me, we'll usually do a modest increase. And then she goes to the tenant. She contacts the tenant and says, hey, so-and-so, we are, just so you know, your lease is ending on blah, blah, blah. And we are going to be increasing the rent to $2,100, or maybe we're not going to have a rent increase. Have you thought about if you want to renew your lease? And that question can go one of three ways, yes, no, or maybe. So they say yes. Okay, great. That's the best news you can get. You knock it out right there, sign a new lease, boom. You're doing this 100 days out, and then you're signing a 12-month lease. That's basically, you don't have to worry about this again for 15 months. So we try to get ahead of that. Now, if we get a maybe, they say, maybe I need to think about it a bit more. Okay. Just let us, let us know. And what we'll do, we have it systematized, is we'll follow up every 2 weeks. Just say, hey, I know you were thinking about this a little bit. Just wanted to follow up. Do you think you're going to want to renew this lease? So that's the second possibility. And then the third one is that they say, no, this isn't the one we want. Of course, we always want to retain our tenants, in most cases. But if they say no, at least we know it 100 days out. And what that allows us to do is get way ahead of this. So if a lease is expired, it's April 26th as I record this. So say the lease is expiring August 1st, and we've already gotten word from this tenant that they're not renewing. Think about how much time we have to find a new tenant. So what we'll do is then we'll advertise it right away. We'll tell the tenant, hey, since you're moving out, we are going to start advertising this. Our goal is to get someone signed to a new lease as soon as possible so that we're not bugging you for the remainder of your lease. Because some tenants will, they get a little weird about, well, it's my space. I don't want to let anyone in. Talk to an attorney. Guys, I'm not giving legal advice, but your tenant is required to give you access, reasonable access to the house in order to accommodate showings. Most people are really cool about it, but you will have some people that are a little pushy about that. So the point is, we either want to get a yes or we want to, if worst case we get a no, at least we have a ton of time to deal with it. And that's how we prevent vacancies. Now, one thing you need to know here, again, not legal advice. Okay, guys, always talk to an attorney. I am not an attorney. But in the state of Oregon, your tenant is not required to give you notice until 30 days out. So August 1st, lease is up. They need to let you know by July 1st. So what we do, we don't, and we're very upfront about that. We don't pressure anybody because you can get in trouble for that. Okay. If they want to voluntarily say, yeah, you know what, let's just renew it now. I know I want this house. Great. But you cannot press them. Like, if you're 100 or 70 days out or whatever, you can't be like, oh, you need to let me know now. That's illegal. Okay. Don't do that. So it is entirely in the tenant's court until 30 days out. Then at that point, they do need to give you an answer. Again, talk to an attorney. So, hey guys, we're taking a quick break, but before we get back into it, if you're enjoying this episode, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us to keep bringing you more valuable content. And if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, don't forget to leave a review. Please, it makes a huge difference. All right, let's get back to it. That's basically it, guys. I mean, this stuff sounds really simple, but go out very early in the process and find out if they want to renew. And you may be able to take care of it way ahead of time. So that covers the income side of things. We're trying to make sure, in rental real estate, our income comes from, or our revenue comes from rents. And so the best way to make sure we're not losing out on that income is to have no vacancies or as few of vacancies as possible. So on the other side of the coin, from revenues, we have expenses, and that expenses is basically, there's some other stuff, business expenses around, clerical stuff and things like that. But generally, your expenses are related to repairs and maintenance, and then it's also related to utilities. So we'll start with repairs and maintenance. This was a tweak that we made, guys. So a couple of things actually related to repairs and maintenance. First off, we tightened up our screening process for tenants. We were a little loose with it. Now we go back, we call multiple rental references. Now you're asking, how does that relate to repairs and maintenance? We just want to know if somebody has destroyed a house in the past. If, I know we all want to be, want to see the best in people, but if somebody has a history of destroying houses, odds are they're more likely to do it in the future. And I'd love to just rent to everybody and be everybody's guardian angel, but we are running a business here. And I've been through it over and over. When you get a tenant that doesn't take care of your house and destroys it, I mean, I'm going through it with 2 houses as we speak. It's not hundreds of dollars. It is thousands of dollars. And on top of that, back to our revenue piece with rents, during that time, you're not only losing money that you're having to spend on getting your house repaired, you're losing money because you have no rents coming in. You can't rent it while that work's being done. So that's step one, rent to good people. But you're going to get, no matter who you rent to, there are going to be repairs and maintenance. That's part of owning real estate. I mean, anybody that own my, I think I rent my place, but I think of my parents, for example. They take incredible care of their house. It's a beautiful home, but they have repairs and maintenance all the time. So it comes with the territory. So on that front, this stuff's not rocket science, but it took us a while to institute these systems. So what we started doing to keep repair bills down is we started getting multiple bids. Now, shout out to my contractors, Cody and David. They're amazing. I don't need to get multiple bids when they do stuff. I mean, we've actually got a new guy working with us now who's pretty reliable. But if you're early on and don't have like close relationships with contractors, you have to get multiple bids. Now, why do I say that? Because I have gone and gotten, when we go get multiple bids sometimes for some work, we will have the exact same job and one crew will bid it 2, or I've even seen like 3 times. I think I'm remembering one specific repair we had to do. We got a bid for $9,000. I had someone else go bid it for the exact same thing, $3,000. So this stuff, these are not like picking up pennies off the ground. This is serious damage to your bottom line if you're doing this. And we've been there. You go to like a car repair shop. Like some people, their business model is to just charge you a ton of money, and they figure if they go to a bunch of people and a handful reject them, but a lot of people will just say yes, it's profitable for them. So you need to hold, especially contractors that you don't have a relationship with, you need to hold them accountable. And the way you do that is by getting multiple bids and really, start to try to gain an understanding of what stuff costs. When I started out, I had no idea. Now I know what, the floor we use, I know how much it costs to land it. I know the general, what appliances cost, drywall, paint, etc. So start getting an understanding of that stuff. It's good to, you don't need to be at the house doing the work yourself, but it's good to know what stuff is supposed to cost. So that is on the repair side. And then on the utility side, if you own single family homes or, a lot of places, the utilities will just go in your tenant's name. If that's the case, you don't need to worry about it. But when you get into the multifamily space, a lot of times you might get a 4-plex, 6-plex, or even a large apartment. We've got an 18 unit we're working on right now, where there's 1 meter. So the entire thing is getting billed to you as the landlord. There's a system you can institute. It's called RUBS, RUBS. It's an acronym. I actually don't know what the letters stand for. But basically the way it works is and again, get legal advice on this. You need to institute it in the proper way. You can't just send your tenants a bill one day and say, you owe me a bunch of money. But basically what it does is you can take the bill, say it's electricity, and you got 18 units and the bill is $1,800, let's say. And you are allowed to bill that back to your tenants. So you can't just like tack it on to their rent. There's a specific way you have to do it. Talk to an attorney again. But you pay it out of your account and then you bill it back to the tenants. So you effectively get reimbursed. And that makes a massive, massive difference. I see these properties where landlords are just paying for everything. There's one we looked at recently. We ended up not closing on it for various reasons, but they were getting billed. It was like $1,500 or $2,000 a month. You bill that back to the tenants, that goes straight to your bottom line. Those are the best expenses you can cut, right? Is stuff that goes to the bottom line. It doesn't take a ton of effort or massive changes in your business to do it. So, to recap this episode, revenue comes from your rent. The quickest way to not get a lot of revenue is to have vacancies. Months where you're earning $0 on a unit, those will kill you. So institute my system there. You're welcome to use that. Ask me any questions about it. And then on the expense side, get multiple bids and institute RUBS if and when it makes sense. So guys, we're in this business to make money. And if you want to be more profitable this year, you've got to start instituting this stuff. It took me way too long, and create systems around it. Okay, it could be you. If you have an assistant, do it with them, but it's got to be systematized, and you need to implement this stuff ASAP, because you're leaving thousands and thousands of dollars on the table. That is a wrap for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Saucetown Investor. If you got value from this, drop us a comment and let us know your thoughts. Did you have a big takeaway? Is there a topic you want to see us cover next time? Is there a guest you want to see interviewed? DMs are open. Business is at Saucetown Properties, and my personal, you can DM me personally, is at The Real Matt Cox 4. We'd also like to ask you kindly to please like and subscribe. You can also follow along with the Saucetown Investor blog. That's mattcox444.substack.com. Thanks again, guys, and until next time, keep investing and stay saucy, Saucetown.